90%. Just let that number sink in for a second. It's huge, right? This isn't some abstract statistic from a medical journal. No, this is a reality. It's the almost certain chance that you, or maybe someone you care about, a parent, a spouse, a close friend, is going to have to deal with a very specific and very serious health challenge. So what is it? What's this condition that looms over basically all of us? It's hypertension. You know it as high blood pressure. And you want to know the scariest part about it? The reason it's one of the biggest public health threats out there? It's because it's silent. And look, that nickname, the silent killer, it's not just for dramatic effect. It's a cold, hard, clinical fact. Most of the time, hypertension has zero warning signs, no symptoms at all. You can feel totally fine, you can have tons of energy, just going about your day, all while this constant high pressure is just quietly, systematically damaging your body from the inside. And that's exactly why we have to talk about it. We have to drag it out into the light. But hey, the point here is not to scare you. It's the exact opposite, actually. We're here to arm you with knowledge, because that's always the first step to taking back control. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on hypertension. We're going to break down the science so it actually makes sense. And most importantly, we're going to give you the proven, evidence-based tools you need to master your blood pressure and protect your health. So, what's our game plan? First, we'll get to know the enemy, what blood pressure is and how it causes damage. Then we'll build your defense, focusing on diet and lifestyle changes that make a huge difference. We'll also dig into the amazing science that proves these strategies work. And finally, we'll map out your personal path to taking control. All right, let's get right into it. How does something as simple as the pressure of blood in our veins become such a major threat? To really get it, we've got to start with the absolute basics. Okay, so think about it like this. Your entire circulatory system, it's like this massive, complex network of plumbing, of pipes. And your blood has to get from your heart to every single cell in your body, right? Well, to do that, it has to push against the walls of those pipes. That force, that's your blood pressure. And you always hear about two numbers. The top one, systolic, that's the peak pressure right when your heart squeezes and pushes blood out. The bottom number, diastolic, that's the pressure when your heart relaxes between beats. Both of those numbers are critical clues to what's going on inside your body. So why is this so dangerous? Well, when that pressure is high day in and day out, it's like a slow-motion demolition crew inside your body. And this is the stat that should really get your attention. A shocking 50%, that's half, of all heart attacks and strokes are directly caused by high blood pressure. It's just this relentless force, silently wearing away at your arteries, your heart, your brain, even your kidneys. But here's where the story takes a turn. This is not a battle you're destined to lose. Not even close. We have an incredible amount of power to fight back. And you know where our strongest weapon is? It's right there on your dinner plate. Let's talk about how to build your dietary defense plan. So what does a heart-healthy menu look like? Well, science points to 3 key strategies that just work. First up is the DASH diet. That stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. And it's really simple. Eat real, whole foods, fruits, veggies, lean protein, and cut way back on the processed stuff. Just that one change can drop your blood pressure by 5 to 6 points. Second, you've got to get tough on sodium. Aim for no more than 2,000 milligrams a day. And third, you want to do the opposite with potassium. Load up on it. It's a total game changer and can lower your pressure by as much as 5 to 7 points. Now, when I say cut back on sodium, you're probably thinking, okay, I'll just hide the salt shaker. But here's the thing you really need to know. The salt you sprinkle on your food, that's only about 20% of the problem. A massive 80% of the sodium we eat is hidden. It's already packed into processed foods and restaurant meals. That soup or sandwich you grab for lunch, it could easily blow your entire sodium budget for the day. You have to start reading labels like a detective. So what's the big deal with sodium and potassium anyway? Well, think of it like a constant tug of war happening inside your blood vessels. Sodium is the bad guy. It makes your body hang on to extra water, which increases blood volume, and it literally makes your arteries stiffer. It just cranks up the pressure. But potassium? Potassium is the hero in this story. It does the exact opposite. It helps your blood vessels relax, giving the blood more room to flow. And, as a little bonus, it tells your kidneys to get rid of that extra sodium. So where do you find this hero mineral? It's in tons of delicious, normal foods. We're talking bananas, oranges, sweet potatoes, spinach, beans, the list goes on. And listen, this is super, super important. If you have kidney problems or if you're on certain medications, your body might have a hard time dealing with too much potassium. So it is absolutely critical that you talk to your doctor before you start making any major dietary changes or adding supplements.
Okay, so diet is a huge piece of the puzzle, right? But it's not the only piece. There are other incredibly powerful lifestyle changes you can make, levers you can pull to really take command of your blood pressure.
For years, the advice was always do more cardio. Running, biking, swimming. And don't get me wrong, that stuff is great for you. But a huge study from 2023 is kind of shaking things up. It was a massive review of 270 different trials, and it found a new champion for blood pressure, isometric exercises. These are exercises where you just hold a position, like a wall sit or a plank. Turns out, they were even more effective, lowering blood pressure by an average of 8 points. But really, the best exercise is the one you'll actually do. So find something you enjoy and just stick with it. Okay, here is one of the most direct and powerful motivators I can possibly give you. It's almost like a math equation for your health. For every single kilogram of excess weight you lose, that's about 2.2 pounds, you can expect your blood pressure to drop by about 1 point. 1 for 1. That is a pretty incredible incentive to manage your weight. It's seriously one of the best tools you have. All right, let's have an honest chat about a few habits that might be working against you. Alcohol, for instance, more than 2 drinks a day for men or 1 for women will consistently raise your blood pressure over time. And smoking? It's a double whammy. The nicotine gives you an instant spike in blood pressure, and over the long haul, all those chemicals just damage and harden your arteries. And please, do not underestimate the power of sleep. Consistently getting less than 6 hours a night, well, that's a recipe for high blood pressure. And speaking of sleep, there's a condition called obstructive sleep apnea that we have to talk about. It's where you actually stop breathing for brief moments, sometimes hundreds of times a night. Every time that happens, your body panics, floods your system with stress hormones, and your blood pressure goes through the roof. It's a huge cause of what doctors call resistant hypertension, which is high blood pressure that just won't come down even with medication. So if you're exhausted all day, or your partner says you snore loudly and gasp at night, you need to see a doctor about it. So we've talked a lot about what to do and how to do it. But you're probably wondering, does this stuff really work in the real world on a big scale? Well, let's look at the science of victory. The proof is undeniable. Let me tell you an incredible true story. Back in the 1970s, the country of Finland was facing a national crisis. They had one of the highest death rates from heart disease in the world. So they decided to do something about it. The government launched this massive public health campaign. They put warning labels on high-salt foods and pushed the food industry to create healthier options. And the results? Absolutely mind-blowing. Over the next couple of decades, the country's sodium intake dropped by 1/3. Average blood pressure fell by 10 points. And get this, deaths from heart attacks and strokes for working-age people dropped by a staggering 80%. It just goes to show, change is possible. For a long time, doctors debated, what's the perfect blood pressure goal? Is just good enough? Well, a huge study called the SPRINT trial was designed to find out. Researchers took a big group of high-risk patients and split them in 2. They treated one group to a standard goal of 140. They treated the other group much more aggressively, aiming for a target of 120. And the results were so clear, they actually had to stop the study early. The group aiming for the lower target had a 25% lower risk of heart attack, stroke, and other major heart problems. And this wasn't just some paper that doctors filed away and forgot about. No, this study literally changed the rules of the game. It was so powerful that it forced major medical guidelines, like the ones from the American Heart Association, to change the very definition of high blood pressure. Now the official threshold is 130/80. A number that used to be considered high normal, like 135/85, is now officially hypertension. The science couldn't be clearer. Lower is better. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've looked at the science, the strategies, the proof. Now for the most important part, bringing it all back to you. Let's talk about how you can actually put this into practice and create your own sustainable path to control. So what's the bottom line? Look, this is not about being perfect overnight. It's about making small choices that you can stick with, that add up over time. Make whole foods the star of your plate. Become a label-reading expert to spot that hidden sodium. Get friendly with potassium-rich foods. Find a way to move your body that you don't hate, and maybe throw in a few wall sits. Get honest about your sleep and other habits. And above all, know your numbers. Get a home blood pressure monitor, and work with your doctor to come up with a plan that's right for you. The last thing I want is for you to feel overwhelmed. This is not about a massive, miserable lifestyle overhaul. It's about small, smart choices. The journey to better health starts with just one step. So I have a question for you right now. What is the one single thing you will commit to doing this week to start on this path? Maybe it's just swapping one processed meal for one you cook at home. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk after dinner. Just pick one thing. Your future self is going to be so glad you did.